In 1 Corinthians 10:31, the Apostle Paul writes, "Whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do all to the glory of God." We have here a guiding light as to how Christians ought to live their lives and make decisions. In all that you do, glorify God. To apply to music, we could paraphrase, whether you play an instrument or sing, play or sing to the glory of God. So as we consider the question, what music should I not sing or play? There are several questions to ask ourselves. And the first one is, can I glorify God as I sing or play this piece of music? To glorify God as I make music means to give Him honor as I play or sing. That might mean consciously giving Him thanks. It might mean making music as a deliberate act of worship to Him. It might mean doing it in a way that serves others and seeks to share the love of Christ with them. So, are there ever situations when it would be wise to say no? I would argue from this verse that when the music has content that clearly goes against God's glory or honor or reputation, when the lyrics of a song say something of God that we know is false, denying His existence, for example, we cannot glorify God in our playing or singing of it. God is not glorified when His being, nature, or character is distorted. So if there are lyrics that clearly celebrate sin, or which deliberately distort who God is, or claim that God doesn't even exist, such as Frank Turner's Glory Hallelujah, in which he sings, "There is no God, no heaven and no hell," it may not be the right move to sing or play it. Personally, I think that it's impossible to create this deliberate distortion without the use of words. So for me, any music that does not have words can be played to the glory of God. A second question to ask ourselves, do we find ourselves unable to play or sing music without idolatrously worshipping something other than God? In Psalm 16, David writes, "The sorrows of those who run after another God shall multiply. Their drink offerings of blood I will not pour out, or take their names on my lips." David is so cautious of things that may turn his heart away from God that he says, I'm not even going to say their names. I'm going to distance myself as much as possible from these idols because God is my refuge. In Him my heart is glad. In His presence there is fullness of joy. We may not be led away by another God, but are there other things that we make gods in our own lives, like fame, money, sex, other people's opinions of us, even music itself? We have a tendency of making idols in our hearts out of all these things. If we find ourselves unable to play or sing a piece of music without responding idolatrously, worshipping it or the thing which is celebrating, rather than God, then we should, for our own sakes, the sake of our own heart, refrain from participating in it. And it's worth thinking about how others will interpret our involvement in a specific piece. After all, Matthew 5:14, Jesus proclaims to His disciples that they will be the light of the world. So our next question is my involvement in this piece of music going to misrepresent Jesus, of whom I am an ambassador? So with these questions in mind, here's a practical example from my own experience. I played drums, and mostly in a pop music context. And there was a time that a friend had written an arrangement of the classic rock tune Highway to Hell by AC/DC. I said to my friend that I didn't want to play it. I probably should have done a better job of explaining why. But I didn't want to play it because it was celebrating people going to hell. And how that actually played out was we ran through the song in rehearsal once, and I did play then, and then never again. My friend was sympathetic to my stance and never brought it up again. There's much more that could be said as we try to discern what not to sing or play. For example, what ways might there be in playing or singing something such that we do so redemptively? What glimmers of goodness or truth might there be in the piece through which I can enjoy and glorify God? Why not check out the Spotlight podcast episode with opera singer Constance Fee for how she was able to do this as the character Carmen. In all of it, let's keep praying to God as we try to discern such situations and let His word guide us as we seek to glorify Him in our music.